Chris Matthews on MSLSD. This guy is a very sick person. I normally ignore him, but it's hard to ignore him right now. He's a very, very sick man. He's also, by the way, since he likes to talk about race all the time, one of the whitest white people I've ever seen. Do you agree with me, Mr. Producer? He's about one step above albino. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not passing judgment at all. It's weird how human beings get weird about skin color, isn't it? I've always found that so bizarre. But anyway, Matthews is obsessed with it, and he's a self-hater. So he's not just a white guy, he's like a white guy. You know, when you're looking at paint, what is that called? Eggshell white? What is that? It's something. Is it eggshell white? Well, he's an eggshell white guy, and he hates himself. And I'm going to prove it to you. Here he is on MSLSD yesterday, hat tip, real clear politics, cut 7, go.
They can't stand the idea that he's president. And a piece
Hold
of
on, I didn't set this up right. And he's talking to one of the biggest idiots to ever roam the face of the earth, Al Not-So-Sharpton. Now, Al Not-So-Sharpton is always one step ahead of the tax collector. We've read many, many stories that have appeared in, among other places, the New York Post. So Al Not-So-Sharpton is a big government leftist who's always one step ahead of the tax collector. Isn't that amazing? So these two jerks are talking to each other. Now, let's go. Cut 7.
They can't stand the idea that he's president. And a piece of it is racism. Not that somebody in one racial group doesn't like somebody in another racial group. So what? It's the sense that the white race must rule. That's what racism is. And they can't stand the idea that a man who's not white is president. That is real. That sense of racial superiority and rule is in the hearts of some people in this country. Not all conservatives, not even all right-wingers. But it always comes through with this birther...
All right, stop. Now, there are more Hispanic Republican governors than there are Hispanic Democrat governors. I'm looking at the U.S. Senate now in my mind's eye. Is there a black person among them? Here's a party, the Democrat Party, that has abused black people from its inception. The Republican Party came to be as the Abolition Party, fighting the Democrat Party, which was the pro-slavery party. After the Civil War, the Democrat Party was the party of the Ku Klux Klan and the party of segregation. The Democrat Party nominated and elected Woodrow Wilson, who was a racist, who resegregated the federal civil service, who insisted that the military be segregated. I mean, he was a real loathsome human being, and yet the greatest of the progressives. And so it is, the real history of the Democrat Party. And I listen to this, and I look in the U.S. Senate. This is a party that receives, 97% of the black vote in this country? And I don't think there's a single black Democrat senator. Now that, to me, is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. I thought I'd point that out, because I guess liberals hate blacks. Otherwise, why aren't there blacks in the U.S. Senate? At least not today, are there? And of course, conservatives have backed blacks and women and Hispanics and Asians for all kinds of positions. The federal courts, for public office, you name it. But you see, our conservatives, whatever their skin color, whatever their pigmentation, aren't legitimate. So if there's a black conservative, an Allen West and so forth, a Tim Scott, well, wait a minute. There is a black senator, Mr. Producer. It's Tim Scott from South Carolina, a Republican. Oh, how could I forget? And he was appointed to the Senate by the governor of South Carolina, Haley, who is an Indian American. How do you like that? How do you like that? So, Chris Matthews is a pompous ass. He's a moron. Al Not-So-Sharpton is a pompous ass and a moron, too. And I think in the case of Chris Matthews, he has some race issues. I really do. He's obsessed with this. I think he's projecting. I think he's the guy that's got the race problem. Let's continue, shall we? Go.
And somehow trying to erase Obamacare, erase his record in history, and a big part of it is bought into by people like John Boehner.
All right, stop. So now if you oppose Obamacare, you oppose a black person in high. I mean, is this guy? I think all those years of heavy drinking, if I may say with all due respect, has had an impact on you, Chrissy. Oh yes, I know. I'm sorry, I do. I think I think it's done enormous brain damage. And I say this not as somebody's trying to be critical of you, but somebody who thinks you need to get help. And I'm very disturbed that NBC, that is its little puppy dog affiliate, MSLSD, would be airing somebody like Chris Matthews, who the people at MSLSD know is off his rocker. They're exploiting a guy. I don't think if Chris Matthews, I think he lives in Maryland. I could be wrong. I don't think he will qualify if he wants to buy a firearm in Maryland, Mr. Producer, with the strict standards now on mental competency. There's something that's off there, something that's not right. Let's start this at the top. We'll go through it quickly, then I'll be done with it. Cut 7 again. Go.
They can't stand the idea that he's president. And a piece of it is racism. Not that somebody in one racial group doesn't like somebody in another racial group. So what? It's the sense that the white race must rule. That's
all
what
right, that's enough. I hear all the noise in the background. What's he, at a cafeteria or something? I mean, all the noise in the background? They're doing they're awaiting a press conference. I see. Well, there you go. A conga line of freaks over there at MSLSD. I was on Chris Matthews' TV show once, many, many years ago, during the impeachment of the pervert president, B.J. Bill Jefferson Clinton, who's now, of course, the great Democrat statesman. And I will say this about the man. He is dumber and more obnoxious in person than he is even when you listen to him when I play the tape. Democrat in the Senate who is black, Mo Cowan, who was appointed when Kerry became Secretary of State, just as Tim Scott was. Boy, Barney is furious. There's all kinds of liberal deer walking around the house. He can't stand the liberal deer. And there he is. Oh, excuse me, the bunker.